now wandering round Rexton, in the vicinity of Rose Cottage. But afraid lest Mrs. Octagon should see him, and keep Juliet within doors, he abstained from passing in front of the house, and waited on the path which led to the station. While watching the cottage, a young woman came along the path. She was neatly dressed and looked like a servant. Cuthbert pressed himself against the quickset hedge to allow her to pass, as there was very little room. The girl started as she murmured her thanks, and grew crimson on seeing his face. Cuthbert, not thinking, gave a passing thought to her looks, and wondered why she had blushed. But when he saw her enter the gate of Rose Cottage, she looked back twice. He remembered the description of Jennings. "By George," he thought, "that was Susan Grant. I wish I'd spoken to her. I wonder why she blushed. She can't be in love with me, as I never saw her before. All the same, it is strange about the portrait." It was now about 4 o'clock, and Cuthbert fancied that after all it would be best to boldly ring at the door and ask admission, in spite of Mrs. Octagon. But while hesitating to risk all his chances of seeing Juliet on one throw of fortune's dice, the matter was decided for him by the appearance of Juliet herself. She came out of the gate and walked directly towards the path. It would seem as though she expected to find Cuthbert, for she walked straight up to him and caught his hand. There was no one about to see their meeting, but Juliet was not disposed to behave tenderly. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Susan Grant told me " "Susan Grant!" echoed Cuthbert, resolved not to know too much in the presence of Juliet. "I saw her name in the papers. How does she know of me?" "I can't say," said Juliet quickly. "Come along this way." She hurried along the narrow path, talking all the time. "She came in just now and said you were waiting in the by path. I came out at once. I don't want my mother to see you." "Really?" cried Cuthbert, rather nettled. "I don't see that I have any reason to avoid Mrs. Octagon." "She will not allow me to see you. If she knew I was meeting you she would be very angry. We are here only till to morrow. Now that Aunt Selina is buried and the will read, we return to Kensington at once. Come this way. Let us get into the open. I don't wish my mother to follow and find me speaking to you." They emerged into a waste piece of land, distant a stone's throw from the railway station, but secluded by reason of many trees and shrubs. These, belonging to the old Rexton estate, had not yet been rooted up by the builder, and there ran a path through the heart of the miniature wood, leading to the station. When quite screened from observation by the friendly leafage, Juliet turned quickly. She was pale and ill in looks, and there were dark circles under her eyes, which told of sleepless nights. But she was dressed with her usual care, and behaved in a composed manner. "I wish you had not come, Cuthbert," she said, again taking his hand. "At least not at present. Later on " "I wanted to see you at once," said Mallow determinedly. "Did not Basil tell you?" Juliet shook her head. "He said that he met you the other day, but he gave me no message." "Then he is not the friend I took him to be," said Mallow angrily. "Don't be angry with Basil," said Juliet gently. "The poor boy has quite enough trouble." "Of his own making," finished Cuthbert, thoroughly annoyed. "See here, Juliet, this sort of thing can't go on. I have done nothing to warrant my being treated like this. Your mother is mad to behave as she is doing. I insist on an explanation." Juliet did not pay any attention to this hasty speech. "How do you know Basil has troubles?" she asked hurriedly. "Because I know he's a dissipated young ass," returned Mallow roughly, "and I dare say you know it also." "Do you allude to his playing cards?" she asked quickly. "Yes. He has no right to tell you these things, but I know he is in debt to Hale. He hinted as much the other day. I would say nothing of this to you, but that I know he counts on your paying his debt. I tell you, Juliet, it is wrong for you to do so." "How do you know I can?" she asked. "I know nothing," said Cuthbert doggedly, "not even if you have inherited the money of Miss Loach." "I have inherited it. She left everything to me, save legacies to Thomas her servant, and to Emily Pill the cook. It is a large fortune. The will was read on the day of the funeral. I have now 6,000 a year." "So much as that? How did your aunt make such a lot of money?" "Mr. Hale speculated a great deal on her account, and he is very lucky, at least so he told me. But the money is well invested, and there are no restrictions. I can easily pay the few debts Basil owes, poor boy. You are too hard on him." "Perhaps I am, but he is so foolish, and he doesn't like me. I believe he puts you against me, Juliet." The girl threw her arms around his neck. "Nothing in the world would ever put me against you, Cuthbert," she whispered vehemently. "I love you. I love you with all my heart and soul, and with every fibre of my being do I love you. I don't care what mother says, I love you. "Well, then," said Cuthbert between kisses, "since you are now rich, and your own mistress not that I care about the money why not marry me at once?" Juliet drew back, her eyes dilated with fear. "I dare not, I dare not," she whispered. "You don't know what you ask." "Yes, I do. Juliet, what is all this mystery about? I could not understand the meaning of your letter." "Did you do what I asked?" she panted. "It was too late. I had told Jennings the detective all I knew." "You are not afraid?" "Afraid!" echoed Cuthbert, opening his eyes. "What do you mean?" She looked into his eyes. "No," she said to herself, "he is not afraid." Cuthbert lost his temper. "I don't understand all this," he declared. "If you would only speak out but I can guess why you wish me to stop the proceedings. You fear for Basil." She stepped back a pace. "For Basil?" "Yes. From what he hinted the other day I believe he was about this place on the night of the where are your proofs?" she gasped, recoiling. "I have none. I am only speaking on chance. But Basil is in monetary difficulties. He is in debt to Hale. He counted on you inheriting the money of Miss Loach to pay his debts. He " "Stop! Stop!" cried Juliet, the blood rising to her face. "This is only supposition. You can prove nothing." "Then why do you wish me to hold my tongue?" "There is nothing for you to hold your tongue about," she answered evasively. "You know nothing." Cuthbert caught her hands and looked into her troubled eyes. "Do you, Juliet? Do you? Put an end to this mystery and speak out." She broke from him and fled. "No," she cried. "For your sake I keep silent. For your own sake stop the action of the detective." CHAPTER IX. Recording by Shirley Anderson.